Israel-Palestine continued to clash for 8th day as UN Security Council approaches. Israeli artillery, rockets and air force continue to fire on Palestinian state territory in the Gaza Strip, destroying the city of Palestinian militants Hamas. 15 square kilometers, 40 kilometers to the ground, all of which are state-owned buildings. Hamas is in power in this dusty land. Despite the tragedy, Hamas-Palestine did not lay down its arms for peace from Israel. The Palestinian Hamas government has declared war on Israel for up to 6 months. Hamas militants have continued to fire thousands of rockets into Israeli territory, particularly on the Israeli city of Tevis. The death toll has risen to more than 100. With more than 200 Palestinians killed and 40,000 displaced since the fighting began on Monday. But the Israeli side still has the lowest death toll compared to the Palestinians. The clashes between Israel and Hamas on May 16 were the 7th day of fighting, and today is the 8th day that the two sides have reportedly exchanged fire. Since the night of May 10, Hamas has fired more than 2,000 rockets at Israel, but was protected by missile defense systems, and most of them exploded in space. Israel attacked with bombs, artillery and missiles. On the night of Sunday, May 16, Israel used 54 planes, while last Friday night, Israel used 160 planes, dropping 450 bombs weighing more than 80 tons on the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian territories. Israel fired 3 heavy missiles at the Al Jazeera and AP quarters. In this regard, the major media outlets have demanded that the Israeli government interpret the UN Secretary-General as a violation of international law. But Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert has denied that Israel intends to shoot down the two media outlets. Netanyahu claims to have the right reasons. The Israeli Prime Minister addressed his people as well as the international community, blaming Hamas for the violence, including the deaths and injuries. Netanyahu has accused Hamas of committing double war crimes by using civilians as a shield. As the war between the Israeli army and the Palestinian Hamas continues, leaving civilians dead under gunfire in New York City, the United Nations Security Council has resumed its third emergency meeting on the Israeli war and Palestine. But a third meeting could not be resolved due to renewed U.S. opposition. The U.S. envoy to the Biden administration has defended that the United States is secretly addressing the issue and that the Security Council statement only aggravated the situation in the Gaza Strip. According to the French news agency AFP, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who chaired the meeting, expressed regret and demanded that the United States be held accountable for exercising its right to object. As chair of the May meeting, the Chinese foreign minister called for an immediate ceasefire and called on the Security Council to take strong action to resolve the issue in the Gaza Strip. Minister Wang Yi announced that China has proposed to be a mediator in the Israeli-Palestinian talks. During the Security Council meeting, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called for an immediate ceasefire to end the bloodshed between the two territories. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon says fighting between Israel and Palestine is horrific, killing hundreds of civilians, children and women. The UN Security Council has already met twice last week to escalate the violence, but so far no consensus has been reached on the joint statement. However, observers see that Israel is now winning the battle. Palestinian Hamas is overcoming the word pride in the war.